The massive space station called Harmony Prime floated in the empty darkness between stars. Its gleaming metal surface reflected the light from distant suns as ships from different worlds docked at its many ports. Inside the station's main council chamber, representatives from across the galaxy had gathered for what many believed would be humanity's final hour. Captain Jake Morrison stood behind Ambassador Lisa Carter as she faced the semicircle of alien delegates. The human diplomatic vessel, UHS Defender, waited in the station's docking bay, but Morrison knew they might not be leading peacefully. His tactical officer, Commander Rick Hayes, had been monitoring alien fleet movements for weeks, and the reports were troubling. The chamber itself was built to accommodate many different species. Some delegates sat in chairs designed for humanoid forms, while others rested on specialized platforms or floated in environmental suits filled with their native atmospheres. The air carried translation devices that converted all speech into understandable forms for each species present. At the center of the curved table sat High Counselor Thek, an insectoid creature from the Zephyrian homeworld. His compound eyes reflected the chamber's lights as his mandibles clicked with each translated word. To his right, Admiral Zara Vex represented the reptilian saurians, her scaled hide bearing the scars of countless battles. The other three species of the Hegemony Alliance filled the remaining seats with their own representatives. The human expansion into contested sectors must cease immediately, High Counselor Thek announced, his voice carrying through the translation system with mechanical precision. 12 colony worlds currently occupied by human settlers are claimed under ancient galactic territorial laws. These worlds contain resources vital to the stability of multiple civilizations. Ambassador Carter remained calm despite the overwhelming odds. She had spent 30 years in diplomatic service and had never faced a situation quite like this. The 5 alien species before her controlled over 300 worlds combined, while humanity barely maintained 47 colonies scattered across their small section of space. Respected counselors, Carter began, the human colonies in question were established legally under the Galactic Settlement Accords signed 2 centuries ago. Our people have lived on these worlds for generations. They have built cities, farms, and entire civilizations. Forcing them to abandon their homes would constitute a violation of basic sentient rights. Admiral Vex leaned forward, her yellow eyes narrowing. Rights are determined by strength, human. Your species expanded too quickly without considering the consequences. These worlds sit on the borders of Saurian space and contain minerals essential to our military production. Your presence threatens galactic stability. The ethereal delegate, a tall, pale being with large, dark eyes, spoke without moving its mouth. The words appeared directly in everyone's minds through its psychic abilities. The human expansion pattern suggests aggressive intentions. Analysis of colony placement indicates strategic military positioning rather than simple resource gathering. Captain Morrison felt his jaw tighten at the accusation, but remained silent as ordered. He had reviewed the colony records himself and knew the truth. Human expansion had been random and opportunistic, focused on habitable worlds rather than strategic positioning. The colonies were filled with farmers, miners, and families seeking new lives, not military installations. The Chroman representative, a massive creature with thick armor plating, spoke in deep, rumbling tones. Industrial analysis confirmed strategic resource acquisition by human settlements. 12 disputed worlds contain rare earth elements necessary for advanced technology production. Human control threatens economic balance across multiple sectors. Commander Hayes leaned close to Morrison's ear and whispered, "Captain, long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements toward human space. This wasn't intended as a negotiation." Morrison nodded slightly, keeping his expression neutral. He had suspected as much from the beginning. The alien coalition had assembled representatives from 5 different species, each bringing their own military and economic justifications for removing humans from the disputed worlds. This was an ultimatum disguised as diplomacy. The final alien representative belonged to the nomadic voidlings, a species that lived primarily in space rather than on planetary surfaces. Its environmental suit contained a gaseous atmosphere that swirled with different colors as it spoke. Migration patterns of human vessels indicate expansion into traditional voidling territory. Sacred drifting grounds have been contaminated by human presence. Removal necessary for spiritual balance. Ambassador Carter looked at each alien delegate in turn before responding. The worlds you claim are disputed have been inhabited by humans for over 50 years. Our people were born there, they have raised families there, and they consider these places their homes. We cannot simply abandon entire populations because you have decided their presence is inconvenient. High Counselor Vex's compound eyes reflected the chamber lights as he clicked his mandibles in what Morrison recognized as the Zephyrian equivalent of dismissive laughter. Human attachment to specific locations demonstrates primitive territorial instincts. Advanced civilizations understand that resources must be distributed according to greater galactic needs rather than emotional connections. Furthermore, Admiral Vex added, human military capabilities are insufficient to maintain control over disputed territories. Your species operates 93 vessels total across all colonial defense forces. The Hegemony Alliance maintains over 800 active warships. Simple mathematical analysis indicates the futility of resistance. The numbers hit Morrison like a physical blow. He had known humanity was outnumbered, but hearing it stated so bluntly made the situation even more desperate. Earth's colonial defense forces were designed to handle pirates and minor conflicts, not full-scale warfare against multiple alien civilizations. Ambassador Carter maintained her diplomatic composure despite the overwhelming odds. Strength of arms should not determine the rights of civilizations to exist peacefully. The Galactic Council was established to resolve disputes through law and negotiation, not threats of military action. The ethereal delegate's mental voice carried undertones of amusement. Human naivety regarding galactic realities is documented extensively. Your species believes in abstract concepts like justice and fairness, while practical civilizations understand that survival requires adaptation to changing circumstances. Commander Hayes received another sensor report and moved closer to Morrison. Captain, fleet movements are accelerating. Multiple species are converging on human colonial sectors. This is looking like a coordinated invasion rather than a diplomatic pressure tactic. Morrison realized that the negotiation was merely theater designed to provide legal justification for what the aliens had already decided to do. The Hegemony Alliance had spent months planning this action, assembling the largest military force in recorded galactic history, while humanity remained completely unaware of the growing threat. High Counselor Vec raised one of his segmented arms to command attention. The Hegemony Alliance offers humanity 72 hours to begin complete evacuation of all disputed worlds. Transportation will be provided for human populations, and reasonable compensation will be offered for abandoned infrastructure. This represents the final opportunity for peaceful resolution. And if we refuse? Carter asked, though she already knew the answer. Admiral Vex smiled, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Then the Hegemony Alliance will be forced to remove human presence through military action. Your species' continued existence depends upon accepting the generous terms we have offered. The chamber fell silent as the weight of the ultimatum settled over everyone present. Morrison knew that Carter would need to return to Earth with news that humanity faced extinction or surrender. There seemed to be no other options available, but in the depths of space, ancient sensors detected the diplomatic crisis and began awakening systems that had slept for centuries. preparing to remind the galaxy why humanity had once been feared. Deep beneath the surface of Luna, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stared at the screens displaying impossible data. The Luna Deep Space Monitoring Station had been tracking signals from the edge of known space for 3 days, but what they were receiving defied all explanation. The transmission carried encryption codes that predated current human technology by over 3 centuries. "Kate, run the analysis again," Rodriguez called to senior analyst Kate Williams, who was working at the adjacent console. These frequency patterns match historical records from the early expansion period, but that's impossible. Williams pulled up the comparative data on her main screen. The signal originated from coordinates beyond any known human presence yet. It broadcast on military channels that had been discontinued before most of the current colonies were even established. The message itself was simple, but carried enormous implications for humanity's current crisis. "The transmission repeats every 6 hours," Williams reported. "Same message each time. Humanity endures. Ancient protocols activated. Assistance inbound." The encryption matches archived records from the UHS Deep Space Exploration Program, but those missions were lost centuries ago. Meanwhile, General Peter Brooks reviewed tactical reports in the Earth Defense Command Center. The Hegemony Alliance. Fleet movements were no longer subtle. Saurian battleships, Zephyrian stealth destroyers, ethereal mind control vessels, Chroman heavy assault craft, and Voidling fast attack squadrons were converging on human space from multiple directions. "How long before they reach our outer colonies?" Brooks asked his intelligence chief. 18 hours at current speed," came the reply. "The combined fleet exceeds 800 vessels. Our colonial defense forces are already falling back to fortified positions, but they won't be able to hold against those numbers." Commander Troy Sullivan received emergency orders aboard the human cruiser UHS Valiant as it patrolled the outer system. His ship was one of only 12 heavy cruisers in the entire human fleet, and each one would need to perform far beyond their designed capabilities if humanity was to survive the coming assault. "Communications from Luna Station, sir," his radio operator reported. "They're requesting immediate rendezvous to discuss classified intelligence regarding an unknown contact." Sullivan changed course toward Luna, wondering what intelligence could possibly matter when facing complete military annihilation. The Valiant was a good ship with a skilled crew, but even their best weapons would barely scratch the hull of a Saurian battleship. Back on Luna, Rodriguez finally managed to trace the signal's trajectory. The source was approaching human space at incredible speed, far faster than any known propulsion system could achieve. Whatever was broadcasting would arrive in the Sol system within hours. "The signal includes technical specifications," Williams announced with growing excitement. "Weapon systems, shield configurations, propulsion data. Everything is centuries ahead of our current technology. If this information is accurate, the sender possesses capabilities that surpass anything in known space." General Brooks arrived at Luna Station within hours, accompanied by his senior staff. The implications of the mysterious transmission had reached the highest levels of Earth's government. If an unknown human vessel was approaching with advanced technology, it could change everything about humanity's desperate situation. "Show me the technical data," Brooks ordered as he entered the monitoring station's main control room. Rodriguez brought up the specifications on the main display screen. Energy weapons that could punch through any known shielding, defensive barriers that could deflect incoming fire, and propulsion systems that allowed near-instantaneous travel across vast distances. The technology was so advanced that human scientists could barely understand the basic principles involved. "This has to be authentic," Brooks concluded after reviewing the data. "No alien species would broadcast human military codes, and our own technology isn't advanced enough to fake these specifications. Someone or something from humanity's past is coming to help us." Commander Sullivan docked with Luna Station and was immediately briefed on the situation. His tactical experience told him that the timing was too perfect to be coincidence. Somehow, the approaching vessel had detected humanity's current crisis and was responding accordingly. "Have we attempted to establish direct communication?" Sullivan asked. "Multiple attempts," Williams replied. "The signal only broadcasts the same message on repeat cycles. Either they can't receive our transmissions, or they're maintaining communication silence for security reasons." Meanwhile, the Hegemony Alliance detected fragments of the mysterious transmission during their own intelligence-gathering operations. High Counselor Vec convened an emergency session with the other Alliance leaders to discuss the implications of unknown human capabilities. The technical specifications suggest military technology far beyond current human development, Admiral Vex reported to the gathered alien leaders. "If humans possess such capabilities, our fleet movements may be walking into a trap." The ethereal delegate shared its analysis through psychic communication. Probability assessment indicates deception. Human technological development has been monitored extensively. No evidence exists of advanced military programs capable of producing such systems. The Kroman representative disagreed with its characteristic bluntness. Industrial capacity analysis confirms human limitations. Current human colonies lack infrastructure necessary for advanced weapons production. Unknown variables suggest external assistance or hidden capabilities. Despite their concerns, the Alien Alliance decided to proceed with their invasion plans. Even if humans possessed some hidden technologies, the overwhelming numerical advantage of 800 warships should ensure victory. The Alliance had committed too many resources to retreat based on intercepted signal fragments. Back on Earth, evacuation procedures began for the outer colonies, while defense platforms activated around major population centers. Civilian transports moved deeper into human space, while military vessels took defensive positions at strategic choke points. Dr. Rodriguez continued monitoring the approaching signal source, which now registered as a massive object moving faster than any known ship design. Long-range sensors could barely detect its presence, suggesting advanced stealth capabilities in addition to the superior propulsion system. "Whatever is coming, it's big," Rodriguez reported to General Brooks. "Mass readings indicate a vessel at least 5 times larger than our heaviest battleship. If the technical specifications are accurate, this ship could engage multiple enemy vessels simultaneously." The tension throughout human space was overwhelming as both military and civilian populations prepared for what many believed would be humanity's final battle. Colonial defense forces took up positions around inhabited worlds, while transport ships carried refugees toward the inner systems. Commander Sullivan prepared the Valiant for combat operations, knowing that his crew might be fighting alongside technology they barely understood. The mysterious transmission had provided hope, but it also raised questions about humanity's hidden past that might never be answered. As the hours passed, long-range sensors finally detected the approaching vessel as it dropped out of whatever advanced propulsion system it had been using. The ship was enormous, bristling with weapon systems that matched the transmitted specifications, and it was broadcasting human identification codes that predated any existing records. General Brooks realized that humanity's survival now depended on whoever was aboard that ancient vessel and whether they still considered themselves human after centuries in the depths of space. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity's peaceful development had been protected by guardians whose existence had been forgotten by history itself. The massive warship dropped out of quantum-fold space at the edge of the Sol system with a flash of blue energy that registered on every sensor within 100 million kilometers. The vessel was unlike anything in current human fleet records, stretching 5 kilometers from bow to stern with weapon arrays that covered its hull like the spines of some ancient predator. Admiral Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the UHS Retribution, his weathered face showing the weight of 3 centuries spent in the depths of space. Around him, his crew worked at control stations that hummed with power systems far beyond anything used by current human technology. The ship's artificial intelligence had awakened them from stasis cycles when automated sensors detected threats. To human colonies. Navigation, confirm our position, Kane ordered, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had commanded warships before most current human colonies existed. Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster, his executive officer, checked. The stellar navigation displays. We are at the edge of the Sol system, Admiral. Long-range sensors confirm the presence of human colonies and defense installations, but also detect massive alien fleet formations moving toward human space. Kane had spent the journey from the edge of known space reviewing data transmitted by the ship's intelligence systems. The political landscape had changed dramatically during their absence. Humanity had grown soft, focused on peaceful development, while potential enemies built massive military forces. Chief Cruz, status report on all systems. Kane called to his chief engineer. Danny Cruz looked up from his engineering console, where displays showed power levels that would have seemed impossible to current human scientists. All weapons systems. Operational, Admiral. Quantum fold drives ready for tactical jumps. Defense barriers at full strength. The ship is ready for combat operations. The Retribution's communication systems detected transmissions from Earth Defense Command, and Kane ordered his communications officer to establish contact. Within minutes, he was speaking directly with General Brooks, who had been monitoring the ancient ship's arrival from Luna Station. This is Admiral Marcus Kane of the UHS Retribution, responding to threats against human colonies, Kane announced over the communication link. Request immediate tactical briefing on current hostile forces. General Brooks could barely believe what he was hearing. The man speaking to him claimed to command a ship that predated current human technology by centuries, yet the vessel's capabilities seemed to prove his claims. Admiral Kane, this is General Brooks of Earth Defense Command. We're facing invasion by a coalition of 5 alien species with over 800 warships. Our defensive capabilities are extremely limited. Kane reviewed the tactical data transmitted by Brooks and realized how completely humanity had been caught unprepared. The current human fleet consisted of patrol ships and light cruisers designed for police actions rather than major warfare. The colonies had no planetary defense systems capable of stopping battleship-level attacks. General, the Retribution was designed specifically for asymmetric warfare against superior numbers, Kane explained. Our mission was to establish forward bases in deep space, but we lost contact with Earth during the political changes 3 centuries ago. We've been preparing for this kind of threat ever since. Dr. Helen Park, the ship's chief medical officer and historian, provided Kane with detailed analysis of humanity's development during their absence. The peaceful policies that had led to their mission being forgotten had also left humanity vulnerable to exactly the kind of coordinated attack they now faced. Officer Luke Turner reported contact with the human cruiser Valiant, which was approaching to serve as liaison between the ancient warship and current human forces. Commander Sullivan had volunteered for the dangerous assignment of coordinating with technology his crew barely understood. Admiral Kane, this is Commander. Sullivan aboard the UHS Valiant. Came the transmission from the approaching cruiser. General Brooks has ordered me to provide any assistance you require and serve as communication relay with our defense forces. Kane appreciated the gesture, though he knew the current human vessels would be of limited help in the coming battle. The Retribution had been built during humanity's first expansion period, when the possibility of encountering hostile alien civilizations had been considered a serious threat, requiring serious preparation. Commander Sullivan maintained safe distance and prepared to relay tactical information to all human forces," Kane ordered. "The enemy fleet will likely send probe forces to test our capabilities before committing their main strength." The hegemony. Alliance had indeed detected the arrival of the mysterious human vessel, and Admiral Vex was coordinating a response with her fellow commanders. The single ship appeared formidable, but even advanced technology could not overcome odds of 800 to 1. "Deploy Probe Force Alpha," Vex ordered from her flagship. 50 vessels should be sufficient to determine this new ship's capabilities and eliminate it before the main assault begins. High Counselor Vex agreed with the tactical assessment from his command ship. The human vessel was large and appeared well armed, but the Hegemony Alliance had faced heavily armed opponents before. Numbers and coordinated attacks had always proven decisive. Kane's tactical officer detected the approaching alien force and began target analysis. The 50 ships included representatives from all 5 hegemony species, with Saurian heavy cruisers leading Zephyrian stealth ships and ethereal mind control vessels supported by Chroman assault craft and Voidling interceptors. Admiral, enemy. Probe force detected at extreme sensor range, Lieutenant Colonel Foster reported. 50 vessels in attack formation, estimated arrival in 20 minutes. Kane nodded calmly, having expected exactly this response. The aliens would test his ship's capabilities with a force they considered expendable, hoping to gather intelligence for their main attack. They had no idea what kind of technology they were about to face. "All hands, battle stations," Kane announced. "Over the ship's communication system. Prepare for combat operations. This will be our first engagement, but it will determine whether humanity survives the next few hours." The crew of the Retribution moved with practiced efficiency, having drilled for this moment during their centuries in deep space. Weapon systems powered up with energy levels that would have overloaded current human ships, while defensive barriers activated using principles that humanity had developed and then forgotten. Chief Engineer. Crews monitored power distribution as the ship's massive reactors fed energy to systems designed for battles against impossible odds. The quantum fold drives remained ready for tactical jumps that would allow the ship to appear anywhere on the battlefield within seconds. Commander. Sullivan watched from the Valiant as the ancient human warship prepared for battle. His instruments could barely register the energy levels being generated by the Retribution systems, and he began to understand that humanity's ancestors had possessed capabilities far beyond anything currently imagined. All human forces maintain minimum safe distance. Kane broadcast to the scattered defense ships throughout the system. The Retribution will engage the probe force alone. Observe and learn, because this technology will determine humanity's future. The alien probe force closed to weapons range, confident in their numerical advantage and the proven effectiveness of their combined tactics. Admiral Vex monitored the engagement from her flagship, expecting to see the mysterious human vessel overwhelmed by concentrated fire from 50 warships. Instead, she was about to witness the awakening of humanity's true military heritage. The first alien ship to die was a Saurian heavy cruiser that thought it could withstand anything humanity might throw at it. The plasma cannon blast from the Retribution punched through its shields like they were made of paper and vaporized the entire forward section in a burst of superheated gas. The remaining 49 ships in the probe force suddenly realized they were not facing ordinary human technology. Admiral Kane watched the tactical display as his weapons officer targeted the next group of enemy vessels. The quantum torpedoes phased through space itself, appearing inside alien ships and detonating before their crews could react. 3 Zephyrian stealth destroyers vanished in silent explosions that lit up the darkness between the stars. "Weapons free on all targets," Kane ordered calmly. "Show them what humanity was capable of when we took warfare seriously." The alien probe force tried to coordinate their attack, but the Retribution moved like nothing they had ever encountered. The quantum fold drives allowed the massive warship to disappear from one location and instantly appear somewhere else, always in the perfect position to bring its weapons to bear on enemy vessels. Commander Sullivan watched from the Valiant as the ancient human ship tore through the alien formation with impossible efficiency. Each weapon system on the Retribution seemed designed to counter specific types of alien technology, as if the ship's builders had studied their enemies for centuries before designing countermeasures. The ethereal mind control vessel tried to project psychic attacks against the Retribution's crew, but the ship's neural shielding blocked the assault completely. The alien crew experienced feedback that left them unconscious as their own mental attack rebounded against them with amplified force. "Admiral, the enemy is attempting to retreat," Lieutenant Colonel Foster reported as she tracked the surviving alien ships trying to escape back toward their main fleet. Kane studied the tactical situation and made a decision that would change the course of the entire conflict. Negative. Let none of them escape. The enemy fleet needs to understand what they are truly facing. The Retribution's point defense systems activated, filling space with energy beams that tracked the fleeing alien ships with perfect accuracy. Chroman assault craft, with their heavy armor plating crumpled under focused fire that punched through their defenses like they were made of thin metal sheets. The last, Voidling interceptors tried to use their superior speed to escape, but the Retribution's targeting systems had been designed to track objects moving at relativistic velocities. The fast alien ships died as quickly as their slower companions, leaving nothing but expanding clouds of debris where the probe force had been. Admiral Vex stared at her tactical displays in complete shock. 50 warships had been destroyed in less than 10 minutes by a single human vessel that had taken no apparent damage. The impossible had just happened, and she had witnessed it from her flagship position with the main hegemony fleet. Analysis of enemy capabilities. Vex demanded from her tactical officers. Unknown weapon systems with energy outputs exceeding our heaviest battleships, came the reply. Defensive capabilities that render our weapons ineffective. Propulsion. Technology that allows instantaneous repositioning. Admiral, that single human ship has firepower equivalent to our entire fleet. High Counselor Thek received the same impossible reports from his intelligence analysts aboard the Zephyrian Command. Vessel. The probe force destruction had been so complete that almost no useful tactical data had been gathered, except the terrifying realization that humanity possessed military capabilities far beyond anything previously suspected. Immediate acceleration of invasion timeline. Thek ordered through the Alliance communication network. All fleet elements advance to attack positions. This single human vessel cannot possibly defeat 800 ships, regardless of its advanced technology. Back aboard the Retribution, Dr. Rodriguez from Luna Station had been monitoring the engagement through communication links with Earth Defense Command. The technical readings she was receiving defied everything she thought she knew about physics and engineering. General Brooks, the energy signatures from that ship are beyond our ability to measure, Rodriguez reported. Whatever power source they're using generates more energy than our entire planetary grid. Their weapon systems are operating on principles we don't even have theories for. Kane opened communication channels with Earth Defense Command while his crew prepared for the next phase of battle. The alien probe force destruction had been intended as a demonstration, but he knew the enemy would respond with overwhelming force rather than retreat. General Brooks, the enemy will commit their entire fleet to the next engagement, Kane explained. 800 ships represents the largest military force ever assembled in this region of the galaxy. Their Retribution can handle significant numbers, but we will need support from other assets. What other assets? Brooks asked, knowing that humanity's entire military consisted of fewer than 100 ships, none of which could match even a fraction of the Retribution's capabilities. Kane, smiled for the first time since awakening from stasis. The deep space missions included 12 ships, General. The Retribution was not sent alone into the darkness beyond known space. Our artificial intelligence systems have been broadcasting activation signals across human space since we detected the current crisis. Dr. Helen Park confirmed the Admiral's statement from her historical record station. The original exploration program included multiple vessels equipped with identical technology. Each ship was sent to establish forward bases in different sectors, maintaining communication through quantum entanglement networks. Lieutenant Colonel Foster detected the first response to their activation signals as quantum signatures appeared at the edge of sensor range. Admiral, receiving identification codes from the UHS Vengeance, currently inbound from the Outer Rim territories. Estimated arrival in 4 hours. More signals began appearing as the ancient human ships responded to the crisis. The UHS Defiance reported from the galactic north, while the UHS Sovereignty confirmed departure from deep space positions that had been maintained for centuries. Each vessel carried the same advanced technology and battle-hardened crews that had spent generations preparing for exactly this kind of threat. Kane realized that the galaxy was about to witness something it had never seen before. The full military potential of humanity unleashed against enemies who had grown comfortable with their technological and numerical superiority. The peaceful colonies that the aliens sought to destroy were protected by guardians whose existence had been forgotten by history. All human forces prepare for defensive operations, Kane broadcast to the scattered colonial defense ships throughout human space. Additional assets are en route to assist with the coming engagement. The enemy believes they are attacking a defenseless species, but they are about to learn why humanity once inspired fear across known space. The Hegemony Alliance fleet began its final approach toward human colonies, confident that their overwhelming numbers would ensure victory despite the destruction of the probe force. Admiral Vex coordinated attack formations designed to surround and destroy the mysterious human warship through concentrated fire from multiple directions. High Counselor Vex prepared termination orders for all human colonies once their military resistance was eliminated. The destruction of 50 ships had convinced the alien leadership that humanity posed a greater threat than previously believed, requiring complete elimination rather than simple conquest. But in the depths of space, ancient human warships were awakening from centuries of patient waiting, their crews preparing weapon systems that had been designed by humanity's greatest military minds during the species' most desperate hour. The galaxy was about to remember why humans had once been considered the most dangerous warriors among the stars. The Hegemony Alliance fleet arrived in the Sol system like a swarm of metal locusts, their 800 warships arranged in perfect attack formations that had conquered dozens of civilizations. Admiral Vex commanded the assault from her flagship, while each alien species coordinated their specialized vessels for maximum destruction against human defenses. Admiral Kane positioned the Retribution between the alien armada and Earth, supported by every human defense ship that could still fight. The technological gap became immediately apparent as his ancient warship powered up weapon systems that drew more energy than entire planetary grids, while the current human vessels looked like toys beside the massive alien battleships. All human forces maintained defensive positions around the colonies. Kane broadcast to the scattered defense ships, "Do not engage the enemy fleet directly. Observe and relay tactical information while we demonstrate why humanity once ruled the space lanes." The battle began when a Saurian dreadnought fired its main guns at the Retribution, expecting to cripple the human ship with overwhelming firepower. The massive energy beams struck the ancient vessel's quantum barriers and simply disappeared, absorbed by defensive systems that turned incoming attacks into additional power for the ship's own weapons. Kane's return fire vaporized the Saurian, dreadnought completely, leaving nothing but superheated plasma where a ship carrying 3,000 alien warriors had been moments before. The demonstration sent shock waves through the enemy fleet as they realized their most powerful weapons were completely useless. Quantum torpedoes targeted on enemy command vessels. Kane ordered as his weapons officer locked onto Admiral Vex's flagship and the other alien command ships. Remove their coordination capabilities first, then eliminate their heavy units. The torpedoes phased through space itself, appearing inside the targeted vessels and detonating with the force of small stars. High Counselor Vex's command ship vanished in a burst of energy that lit up half the solar system, while Admiral Vex barely escaped in a life pod as her flagship came apart around her. Dr. Helen Park monitored the battle from her station while analyzing the enemy fleet composition. Admiral, the aliens are using standard formation tactics designed for overwhelming numerically inferior opponents. They have no experience fighting opponents with technological superiority. The retribution moved through the enemy fleet like death itself, appearing wherever the aliens least expected and destroying everything within weapons range. The quantum fold drives allowed the massive ship to be in multiple places simultaneously, always in perfect position to bring its devastating firepower to bear on enemy targets. Commander Sullivan watched from the Valiant as the ancient human warship systematically dismantled the alien fleet with impossible efficiency. Entire squadrons of enemy ships died in minutes, while the Retribution took no damage at all, its defensive systems making it essentially invulnerable to anything the aliens could deploy. The ethereal vessels tried to coordinate psychic attacks against the human ship, but their mental assaults rebounded against neural shielding that had been specifically designed to counter such abilities. The feedback left entire alien crews unconscious while their ships drifted helplessly in space. Admiral, detecting quantum signatures at the system edge, Lieutenant Colonel Foster reported as new contacts appeared on the long-range sensors. The UHS Vengeance has arrived and is moving to engage enemy forces on the galactic south vector. The second ancient human warship dropped out of quantum fold space and immediately opened fire on the alien fleet's flank. Its weapon systems were identical to the Retribution's, turning Chroman assault ships into expanding clouds of debris, while their heavy armor proved useless against quantum-enhanced plasma cannons. More ancient ships continued arriving as the battle progressed. The UHS Defiance appeared from the galactic north and began eliminating Zephyrian stealth destroyers that thought their cloaking systems made them invisible. The UHS Sovereignty materialized near the enemy rear guard and started destroying supply vessels that carried ammunition and fuel for the alien fleet. Admiral Vex, floating in her escape pod, watched in horror as 4 ancient human warships tore through 800 alien vessels like they were made of paper. Each human ship fought with the precision of a scalpel and the power of a star, coordinating their attacks to maximize enemy casualties while taking no damage themselves. All ships retreat immediately. Vex broadcast on emergency frequencies. Repeat. All ships retreat from human space. We cannot win this battle. But Kane had no intention of allowing the alien fleet to escape and threaten humanity again in the future. Pursuit Pattern Delta, he ordered to the other ancient ships. No enemy vessel leaves this system alive. The galaxy needs to understand that humanity is under our protection. The 4 human warships spread out to cover all possible escape routes, while their advanced targeting systems tracked every enemy vessel trying to flee. The Voidling interceptors, despite their superior speed, found themselves caught by weapons that fired faster than light itself. High Counselor Vex's replacement aboard the secondary Zephyrian command ship attempted to negotiate surrender, but Kane's response was broadcast for all remaining alien crews to hear. You came here to destroy human colonies and eliminate our species. Now you face the consequences of threatening humanity's children. The temporal displacement weapons activated for the first time during the battle, creating bubbles of accelerated time that aged enemy ships centuries in seconds. Alien vessels crumbled into dust as their hulls experienced decades of wear in moments, their crews dying of old age before they could understand what was happening to them. Dr. Rodriguez monitored the engagement from Luna Station, recording energy signatures that redefined her understanding of physics. General Brooks, these ships are using technology that shouldn't be possible. They're manipulating time, space, and energy in ways that violate known laws of science. A battle's end came suddenly as the last alien ships were destroyed by coordinated fire from all 4 ancient human warships. Where 800 enemy vessels had entered the Sol system, nothing remained but expanding clouds of debris and the scattered life pods of survivors. Who would carry word of humanity's true power back to their home worlds? Kane opened communication channels with the other ancient ship commanders as they surveyed the battlefield. Gentlemen, it appears our long wait in the darkness has finally served its purpose. Humanity needed us, and we answered the call. General Brooks established contact with all 4 ancient ships as Earth defense. Command struggled to understand what had just happened. Admiral Kane, on behalf of all humanity, I want to thank you for saving our colonies and our species. General, we were always humanity's guardians, Kane replied. The peaceful development of our species was possible because ships like ours maintained watch in the darkness beyond known space. The galaxy forgot that humanity once commanded respect through strength rather than diplomacy. Ambassador Carter returned to Harmony Prime with new terms for galactic relationships, backed by the overwhelming military power that ensured humanity's voice would be heard and respected throughout known space. The Hegemony Alliance no longer existed, its member species frantically seeking individual peace treaties with the humans they had tried to destroy. The ancient warships took up patrol duties throughout human space while sharing their advanced technologies with current human forces. Colonies that had prepared for evacuation instead began expansion programs, knowing they were protected by guardians whose existence had been forgotten by history. The galaxy learned that humanity's peaceful nature had been a choice rather than weakness, and that behind the farmers and merchants stood warriors whose technology and determination had been forged in the depths of space during centuries of preparation for exactly this kind of threat. Peace returned to human space, but it was a different kind of peace, one guaranteed by the knowledge that humanity's enemies now understood the true cost of threatening the species that had once been feared across the known galaxy.